The opposition's massive show of strength at the Supreme Court yesterday has suggested that the Apex Court is bound to reinstate the lower house for the second time in the span of 5 months. The scenario hints that the executive head of state, Prime Minister Oli, is poised to bow out of power, paving way for the formation of a new government. An interesting turn of events is therefore surely on the cards in the next few days. Good morning, I'm Sarah Sapsanama, and these are the top stories of the hour. The country continues to reel under coronavirus crisis as another 169 patients succumb to the virus. Lockdown extended by a week, even food stores to be closed this time. First hearing on the writs filed against controversial dissolution of the lower house scheduled for Thursday. Constitutional bench to hear the case on Friday. The government all geared up to introduce a popular budget targeting voters ahead of November elections. Experts say a caretaker government not in a position to table full budget. And Bangladesh clinches a historic win over Sri Lanka in the second one-day international, takes a lead in the 3-match series. The country continues to reel under a massive second wave of coronavirus as 169 COVID-19 deaths were reported yesterday, taking the national death tally to 6,700. Likewise, out of 22,306 samples tested through the PCR method, 8,387 tested positive for the virus yesterday. According to Health Ministry, there are 117,261 active cases at the moment. Meanwhile, 6,404 individuals registered full recovery, taking the recovery tally to over 404,887. The recovery rate now stands at 76.56%. Meanwhile, there are 914 individuals in various quarantine centers across the country. The ongoing prohibitory orders in Kathmandu Valley has been extended by a week. With the infection rate not subsiding in the valley, the authority has decided to extend the prohibitory orders until 3rd of June. A meeting of 3 chief district officers of Kathmandu Valley decided to extend the lockdown until 3rd of June. The meeting also decided that the upcoming spell of the prohibitory order will be strict, as food outlets and departmental stores too will be shut down. Some other essential outlets selling vegetables, fruits, water, milk and meat will be allowed to open until 9 a.m. A directive issued yesterday states that only ambulances and emergency vehicles carrying patients and their relatives would be allowed to ply on the streets. The first hearing on the writs filed against the controversial dissolution of the House of Representatives has been scheduled for Thursday. More in this report.
Out of a total 30 writs filed at the Supreme Court challenging the government move, initial hearings on 19 writs are scheduled for Thursday under the single bench. The writs have demanded an immediate stay order against the government's move of dissolving the House of Representatives and announcement of midterm election. Meanwhile, hearing on constitutional bench, which comprises 5 justices including the Chief Justice, would be held from Friday onwards. According to the Supreme Court administration, 4 writs have demanded the continuity of Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli as the executive head. Meanwhile, the remaining writs have demanded the appointment of Nepali Congress chief Sher Bahadur Deuba as the Prime Minister. Oli and Deuba had staked their claim following the call for government formation as per the Constitution's Section 5 of Article 76. The Council of Ministers had recommended the dissolution of the House of Representatives and opt for a midterm election following the President's rejection to both the claims on Friday. 2 days after President Bidya Devi Bhandari endorsed the recommendation on Friday past midnight, a joint writ has been filed along with the signatures of 146 lawmakers from the opposition alliance comprising Nepali Congress, CPN Maoist, Madhav Kumar Nepal faction of CPN UML, Upendra Yadav faction of Janata Samajwadi and Jana Morcha. Prior to this, Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli had dissolved the House of Representatives on 28th of December, 5 months ago. However, the Constitutional Bench of the Supreme Court dismissed the Prime Minister's decision on 23rd of February earlier this year.
Now, the Oli administration, which presently has been reduced to the status of a caretaker government, is all poised to introduce a distributive budget. In a bid to woo the voters ahead of the scheduled elections, the government has geared up to hike senior citizen welfare allowance and recruiting cadres in the name of Prime Minister Employment Program, Improvised Agriculture Program, among others. Sources have said that pressure has also mounted on the Finance Ministry to increase budget on popular agendas targeting voters. However, experts say that a caretaker government is not authorized to table full-fledged budget.
Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli just a few days ago publicly announced of increasing the social welfare incentives for senior citizens. The Prime Minister last Sunday had called on journalists affiliated to the party and informed that he would include programs prioritized by him in public programs. The Prime Minister's remarks suggest that he is yet to realize the limitations of a caretaker government. According to sources at Finance Ministry, they have received directive to hike the social welfare allowance to 5,000 from the existing 3,000 rupees. Likewise, efforts are also underway to increase budget for Prime Minister's employment program, which has already been deemed a failure. A massive chunk of 30 billion rupees is being sanctioned for the highly publicized strategic highways, even as 3.5 billion rupees allocated under the program is yet to be utilized. There is constitutional obligation to introduce the national budget on 15th of Jaister as per Nepali calendar every year. However, with the announcement of election in November, the Oli administration has been reduced to caretaker government and thereby, according to experts, it has lost the validity of introducing a full budget. The experts have meanwhile urged the government to prioritize safety measures to curb COVID-19 surge in the upcoming budget, as development works are unlikely to gather pace at the time of pandemic.
Janata Samajwadi Party Chairman Mahant Thakur has demanded for a 7-point clarification from other party chairman Upendra Yadav. Chairman Thakur has said the other chairman Yadav had conducted activities that were against the party's conduct, party policies and statute, and has given 3 days to furnish a clarification. The statement issued by the party states Chairman Yadav had gone against the parliamentary party's decision to support the opposition alliance and for signing on the writ filed at the Supreme Court against the dissolution of the lower house without consulting the party. Likewise, Yadav also has been alleged of holding intra-party factional meetings, trainings and assemblies. Moving on, former Prime Minister Madhav Kumar Nepal has alleged Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli of betraying the people, democracy, constitution and the communist movement of the country. A day after the party CPNUML took action against him, Leader Nepal through social media urged for the establishment of the rule-abiding government by removing the Oli-led government. Nepal has opined that Prime Minister Oli needed to be ousted through what he said legal, political and street campaign. Terming Prime Minister Oli as anti-constitutional and anti-national, Nepal said that the Prime Minister, through a series of regressive moves, has only fallen in the eyes of the people and has also downsized the communist movement. Nepal also said that the action taken against him and some other leaders of the party was meaningless. In our Public Voice segment, we've asked local residents in Rukum how have they been helping their children in studies while the schools have remained shut. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
बाबु नानीहरु बसेर पढ आखिर एक दिन चाहिँ यो कोरोना महामारी सिद्धिएर जान्छ फेरि एउटा सामान्य अवस्थाको सुरुवात हुनेछ भनेर हामीले उनीहरुलाई चाहिँ बारम्बार हामीले भन्ने हामीले निर्देशन गर्ने कुराहरु गरिरहेका छौं
नजानेका कुराहरु नेट इन्टरनेटहरुबाट सरहरुसँग सोधिरहेछन्
अनलाइन क्लास पढ भन्ने अनलाइनको सुविधा छैन अब त्यही टिभीको भर हो टिभी पनि अब बत्ती नियमित छैन
पढ भनिरहेछौं पढिरहेछौं नि घरमा बसेर पनि
प्र्याक्टिकल नलेजमा पनि उनीहरुलाई जोडेर अगाडि बढाउने कुरामा हामीले बच्चाहरुलाई स्कुलिङ गरिरहेका छौं 1 घण्टा एउटा विषय त्यसरी नै सिकाइरहेको छु अनि त्यसपछि नास्ता खान्छन् अब बाहिर खेल्ने पनि छैन वातावरण भित्रै खेल्ने
घरमा इन्टरनेट भावनाले अब इन्टरनेटबाट अब क्लास लिइराखेका छन् त
घरै बस यही पर भन्छौं अब भित्रै टिभी छ मोबाइलमा यताउता पढिराखेका छन्
Time now for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion. The question is, what should be prioritized in the upcoming budget? Your options are A. Midterm election, B. Controlling the pandemic, and C. Relief to citizens. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. Time now for the sports update. Nepal's spin ace Sandeep Lamichhane has been signed by Trinbago Knight Riders to play in the upcoming Caribbean Premier League. Defending champions Knight Riders have sealed the contract with Sandeep even before the draft has taken place. The contract amount, however, has not been revealed. Captained by Kiron Pollard, Knight Riders has the investment from Bollywood star Shah Rukh Khan. Apart from Pollard, the other star players include Sunil Naraini, Devon Bravo, Colin Munro, among others. Sandeep had played for Jamaica Talawas last season, picking up 12 wickets from 11 matches. Sandeep was contracted for 10 million rupees last season. The CPL this season has been scheduled from 28th August till 19th of September. That's all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.